Diana here, Planet Earth Astrology, just checking in with the current planets and transits. That's my Astro Gold program. And to talk a little bit about what's going on today, February 12th, 2020. And the change in energy from the Leo full moon over the weekend to moving into the enthusiasm of the full moon, coupled with Venus in loving Pisces. Right after that, Venus moved into Aries, and shortly thereafter ran into Chiron. Venus relationships, Chiron, the key, your hard lessons, your hurts at a deep level, the things that get triggered in your subconscious. So you may have been feeling empowered for a few days about what you were moving toward. And then enthusiasm was added to that when Venus moved into Aries. And then when Venus met Chiron, it was a sober reminder of your limitations. And there could have been deep emotions triggered by that. We're in a highly emotional time to begin with everything going on in the world, and what has transpired since all the what the planets were doing in January, playing out on the world stage. And I want to try to give you a little bit of overview of the energy so you can join me in being vigilant in keeping your perspective while understanding each of us have our own chart that is our lens that we see life through. So the clearer we are about our own lens, the easier it will be to see the big picture. And that's not clear right now at all what the big picture is, because we have Mercury moving through Pisces, which would much rather your mental process be playing at the beach or creating, rather than focusing on all these really big things that are going on in the world. We've all got a lot going on in front of us. There's all this action in Capricorn, and Mars has been in Sagittarius and was helping the Leo full moon, and Mars is coming off of that high and about to move into Capricorn. It's going to happen coincidentally on the same day that Mercury goes retrograde. There's a lot of information. I want you to know 2020, it's relentless, and you've got to stay vigilant as far as being aware of the energy you're caught up in personally, looking at what other people are projecting, being willing to engage without receiving barbs, understanding that everyone that is paying attention is going through something at a deep level, and some of us more than others, depending on how these are exactly aspecting your charts. But no one can deny the world is going through huge changes right now, and it's up to us personally to be the strongest anchors we can be. And if we have a down day, if we have a down several weeks or months, you've got to honor yourself and observe your process and not just sit with it. You've got to discern whether it's time for you to lay down in bed for a day and just tune out completely to regroup, or if you're fortunate enough to have your health, to keep moving and keep putting one foot ahead of the other. And knowing that this change is occurring. And don't buy into identity arguments, whether it's I don't have to go into the examples. Identity politics, identity blame in personal relationship situations. It doesn't mean that your opinion is not valid. It just means that for every opinion you have, there are a lot of other opinions flying around. And if you want to do what you can personally to usher in this change that's occurring, you've got to do what you can to hold your center, whether that means meditation, prayer, just spacing out completely, doing something where you can just stop and let life force ground you and flow in and through you. Okay, so this I mentioned the same day that Mercury goes retrograde, which is February 16, that Mars is going to enter Capricorn. This is all this Capricorn energy is what's brought us to where we are right now to begin with the total upheaval of the status quo, of the hierarchy, of the world hierarchy. At the same time, Uranus is going through Taurus. This is changing everything as we've known it over this period during the next 6 years. So I'm sharing this with you because the more you know, I'm not going to say easier, because I don't think this is an easy time for anybody. And if you've caught a break because you're getting some excellent transits to your personal chart or angle, this doesn't mean you're without responsibility with what's occurring right now. And it's time to think on a larger scale, and to not attack anybody because of their politics, because this is big in this country this year. Excuse me, in the United States, it's real big, and it's not going to help this energy of transition. It's a fine line between making your choices and how you're going to work with what's occurring, and to keep the flow of positive, we'll call it. But it's the difference between don't react to what you think is perceived hate or bias with more hate or bias. That's not going to help anybody. And especially the health situation right now. You've got to be vigilant about your own health. And take the best care of yourself you can. And none of us are perfect. Well, maybe some of you are. I'm sure not. That you do your best to minimize toxins that you're exposed to, and to reinforce your immune system. Because there's a lot that's confusing that's going on right now. Mercury's hovering a long time in Pisces with the retrograde coming up. This is adding to the confusion, delusion. Neptune's still in Pisces. We've talked about that before. So today the moon's in Libra. At a smaller scale, you had your annoyances and irritations right after the full moon with the moon in Virgo. And then it moved into Libra. You might have had a little break, but yesterday morning was emotional, with Venus just having gone over Chiron, and then the moon in Libra opposing both of them. So if you're feeling emotional, let it flow through however you can. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to just isolate, isolate. I've got a snoring dog on the window seat and a hummingbird out the window. So I'll take that as a good sign. I wanted to share this with you because I've had a hell of a few days. I was on my back all day yesterday. I thought, I was fighting what felt like a sinus infection. We're all aware of what's going on in China, and it's daunting and it's huge, and we don't know how far this is going to go. None of us know that. And I'd love to just say to you, it doesn't mean anything, or it's not going to get here to you. But this is why, if you've been thinking about cleaning up your act, you do it now. Start to do it, because you want to have your immune system as strong as possible. And don't weaken it by falling into the incited hate. Was this a happy enough Astro Squirrel for you? I'd love to just be up and tell you all kinds of good news. And it's a beautiful day in my neighborhood. And the sky's blue. And I was fortunate enough to be at the ocean last weekend. But I just want to let you know that the transits have been a little bit relentless. And they've been more challenging for some of us than others. And do what you can to support each other. Okay, so what are the nodes doing right now with Venus? Venus is moving into square with the nodes. Yeah, your relationship planet. It's like there's the potential for whatever was triggered when Venus went over Chiron and caught you where it hurts in your enthusiasm. There's Venus is coming into square with these faded points of the moon that there might be some weighing going on. Do I need to move away from what's just happened, or am I going to continue working through it? Am I going to choose it as part of my future, my past, into this current timeline? So if you're in that position, you're thinking about making any decisions, just remember we're about to hit a Mercury retrograde. And this is the time, this Mercury retrograde, to rather than get caught up in whatever your delays are, to use the time to go back over those details that have been hanging out and haven't gotten taken care of yet. 13 and a half minutes, that's not squirrel video time. I try to keep it around 10. Thank you for spending your time with me. We lift each other up by sharing, and I hope in some way this has made a difference for you.